Hi guys, welcome back to Daddy Daughter Talk, the podcast. I'm Kel-Sei, and you are?
I'm Dad, Chris.
Hey, let's get into it.
Well, before we get too deep into it, I always like to use my media platforms, anyone that I'm affiliated with, either this one or my own. I like to shout out business owners, specifically those that I know. So if you guys do have products out there that you want us to promote, don't feel ashamed to send us product, and we'll go ahead and definitely give you guys some pub to the best of our ability. And this beautiful scarf that I have on looks like two-tone, but it's a one-tone. This is done by a very close friend of mine, Sarita Moody, and this is Feeling Moody. So you can go to feelingmoody.com and purchase scarves just like this that keep you warm throughout the wintertime and make you feel love. Just love all up on you and make you feel affectionate and all that good stuff. So always go check out feelingmoody.com for the latest in the scarf wear.
Yes, it will be on the screen and in the description box. Make sure you hit her up and get you a scarf or whatever. And since we plugging brands, we gotta plug me too.
Of course.
On December 11th, my date of birth, I finally launched my brand. It's called Autonomy Wellness. And basically, the whole premise of the brand is promoting the act of intentionally and meaningfully taking control of all aspects of you. We're starting with the blog, so definitely go check that out at www.autonomywellness.com. And you might want to stay tuned. You might want to pop in every now and again because there'll be blog posts multiple times a week. And I ain't gonna say like merch might be coming, but merch might be coming. God willing, stay tuned. Okay.
Merch is coming.
For sure. So, Dad, what are we talking about today?
Let's call it disconnects in regards to expectations of a man and woman in regards to entering a relationship.
Okay. Let's do it. You want to start us off with us?
Okay, so let's say this conversation is based off of a post that I made on social media, and it's about you're dating somebody, and let's say you're dating somebody, you're a year into dating, and there's an expectation level from the man, there's an expectation level from the lady, and sometimes those expectations aren't on the same wavelength. So one person feels as though you're going good and one person feels as though you're taking too long. Or that clock that, everybody's on the same, it's two clocks on the wall. They read the same time of day, but they're measuring two different times of measurement. So one clock is measuring seconds and minutes and the other's reading months and years. But they read the exact same time. They both say 11:45, of course. Right. Or the people that are reading each clock, one's measuring in times and minutes, and one's measuring in months and years. And in order for the relationship to progress, you have to be on the same accord. You have to be looking at the same clock, reading the same time measurement. Both of you have to be minutes and hours or months and years. Because if not, it looks like it's the same amount of time, but the measurement's off. So that's the question. How much time is enough time to know that you're prepared to move forward in that relationship?
I don't have an answer for you.
Why don't you have an answer for me?
Because I don't have experience.
You're my co-host, so I see I'll be running this from Dolo today, but that's okay. That's okay.
I got some input, but I ain't got no answer for that particular question.
Okay. So, and since I'm rolling Dolo, I guess I'll say my part and feel free to jump in as you see fit to add your input.
I got a question for you, though.
Go ahead.
To enlighten the conversation, because I always had this question. Do you feel like females or women run on like a biological clock and men run like on a financial clock? Or I got to get myself together first clock?
That's a good question. And I do believe that women run on two clocks.
Mm-hmm.
Your biological clock, depending on what your goals are,
Mm-hmm.
as far as having children and getting married by a certain age. And then that's one clock. The second clock is based on your previous experience, to where you may feel as though you've been in a few different relationships that, let's say, for the sake of conversation, you've been in 4 relationships that lasted 2 or more years and yielded not the result that you wanted.
Okay.
So every relationship thereafter, by the time you hit to year 1, you're looking for the commitment that you didn't get in those previous 4 relationships. So you're comparing everything you do time-wise to everything you've done or what you see other people doing. It shouldn't take this long for a man to know what he wants, which isn't fair. How can you tell a person how long it takes for them to get to know what it is that they need to know? I don't think that's fair. Now, a guy, on the other hand, you do have the financial clock that a guy will have, to where he wants to be able to provide what he deems necessary, or what society / females think is necessary for him to fulfill his role as a man, as a provider, whatever that definition of a man is. So sometimes guys do have that clock. Sometimes they do, depending on who that guy is. So yeah, to answer those questions, yes, those clocks, or those are factors that impact his clock, compared to marriage and children with her clock.
Right. Okay. I got one follow-up comment based off of a conversation that we had before when I sent you old dude's video about starting from day 1.
Yes.
So you mentioned that sometimes women may compare where they were in the last relationship and like, okay, it's year 1, like what's taking you so long, and how that isn't fair to the guy. But then that made me think about that conversation and that video. It was like, okay, you 1 year in, but when did you fully get in? How much of you did you start showing within that year? Is it now, okay, we at year 1 and I think that I'm supposed to be here, so now let me throw myself all in? Because if, okay, let's say I need numbers, because I need to use my hands. I need to break it down. So, okay, let's say you got a year. You didn't fully take interest into this relationship or whatever this is, whether you try to move from friendship or dating to monogamous relationship, or whether you're trying to move from dating to marriage, whatever that next step is. Let's say you have a year and it took you about 6 months to fully be like, okay, I'm all in. But within that first 6 months, you was only giving so much of yourself. And if you were only giving so much of yourself, but you still got this idea that like, okay, we need to be moving to that next level, are they supposed to fall in love with half of you? Or do they still need time now with this, now you've been giving your full self for those 6 months, do they still need time to figure out like, okay, now I'm starting to see that you're all in, or you are showing more of me. Is there more to it? Is there more that I need to see? It like, okay, I kind of like this person now. I got used to the half, but now I really like what I presume to be the whole is, now that you're more involved and more invested, because us as women, sometimes we need something like tangible to connect with, if that makes sense. We don't always start from day 1. But now that you ready, you like, okay, come on. Like, but in the beginning, you wasn't all the way there. So give that man that time to decide and decipher if he truly wants to be there and to indeed choose you, not just be here because I know you want me to be. Let me just hurry up and pick up the speed because I know you want me to be. Because I don't want you to be nowhere you don't, in your heart of hearts, don't want to be. You know, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, which takes me somewhere else. I will, let me throw in a personal story, something that I've gone through along those same lines. I met a young lady and we started hanging out. I would always go pick her up, always plan the date, always pay for the date. I carried everything. You knew what my intentions were. And she used to comment on she's never met a guy that moved with such intention. She always said that. I've never met a guy like you. You're completely different than any other guy I've ever met before in my life. On the flip side, I'm wondering what's your level of investment? Because you mentioned tangible. You know my level of investment, my intention. You know all these things. So we had these conversations. So it got to a point to where I asked her that exact question. What is your level of investment? And she gave me the typical female answer, and that was time. Time out. It's not that you can't measure time, but I apologize. It's not the question I'm asking you. Because statistically it's proven, or the statistics show, the reports, they've done some research on it, that women go out, 40% of women go out on dates just to get free meals and free drinks. Somewhere in that area, 40%, they go out for free meals and free drinks. There's no level of commitment, anything. All you got to do is show up and be treated. Not treat, but be treated. However you're going to be treated, you show up and be treated. So I said, no. Show me tangible, measurable levels of investment. Because you can tell me about how I'm intentional. Because I'm intentional because you don't have to do anything. Everything's planned out. Everything is done. I drive from my location to your location, so it's tangible and gas money. I sponsor the date, so it's tangible and scarola, that cash of what I've invested and spent. And also, it takes time to do these things. So your time compared to my time and everything else, the time, the intention, the travel, the date, and it's not the same. So what's your level of intent? And she keeps telling me time. That's not it. And I'm going to take sex and throw it out of the window. A lot of people think that's an investment. It is, but I'm going to, for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to throw it out the window. Because unfortunately, people, and I'm going to say females, think that once you do introduce sex into the whole thing, that is a level of commitment. That's a level of expression. Not necessarily a level of commitment. It's a level of expression. You did that because you wanted to do it. You hopefully, you're not doing that to get somebody to like you. You do it because you like them enough, and that's your way of expressing that you like them and you want to enjoy them in that manner. So for the sake of this conversation, let's throw sex out of the window. There are other things that a lady can do with, around, and for a man that has nothing to do with sex that will show a level of investment. Cooking for him, listening to him, pampering him. And that's just quick right off the top. Those are things that can be done from a female to a man that has nothing to do with sex that will definitely show him her level of investment. Because per the video that you shared, as far as from day one, the guy's doing everything from day one to get what?
I forgot.
You sent me the video, Goof Troop. The guy's doing everything from day one to get sex.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that, but I didn't want to be wrong.
With sometimes try to be right, then you'll find out if you're wrong. But that's what the guy is doing from day one. He's doing everything in his power to make her like him enough, put her in the most comfortable position to have sex. Mm-hmm. But then they say guys have relationships to have sex, and women have sex to have relationships. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what they say. But you're wanting to go from dating to girlfriend, but like he said in the video, the entire time the guy's known this female, he's giving everything that he can give for the most part, except for inner secrets or anything along those lines. And of course, that's what women want. They want those inner secrets to make them feel connected to the situation. But there is it's what are you doing to make that man feel comfortable enough to graduate to the next level? And I don't think that's the disconnect. Everybody wants to be to the next level. And believe it or not, guys would like to be there too. They would like to be at that next level. And per the post, a lot of females were saying that a year is enough time to know what you want. It shouldn't take 4 or 5 years, and it should not take 4 or 5 years for a guy to know what he wants. But a year isn't necessarily enough time for a guy to know what he wants, because there is that such thing called a representative. How long can representatives exist before they're found to be true or not? Is a year really enough time? And then at the same time, you've had previous relationships, as in a female. Guys have previous relationships too. So if you have been in your relationship four relationships that lasted 2 or more years and ended up not working out the way you want them to work out, so you feel as though within the first year and a half, he should know what he wants, so it's time to move on based off of those previous relationships. He had previous relationships too. So it's things that may have revealed themselves after a year that let him know whether or not he should proceed forward in that relationship. Mm-hmm. So it's still, we have to get on the same page, reading 2 different clocks with the same with the same measurement. Again, this clock over here is reading, it says 11:45, but it's measuring hours and minutes. And this clock over here reads 11:45, but it's measuring months and years. You got to get those 2 clocks combined into 1 clock to where they're both either reading minutes and hours or reading hours and months. Reading months and years. You got to get on the same page, because everybody has their reason. Everybody's not out here freestyling and playing around, but what's your reason? Why should I know what I want in a year's time? And why don't I know what I want in a year's time? Which is still going to boil down to communication.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess kind of digging deeper into it, I think that there's like a perception barrier when it comes to like saying like, okay, so the last conversation that we had that wasn't recorded, we talked about how in a certain situation you was like, oh, I'm good, like we having fun. And then the other counterpart was more so like, again, like come on with the come on. And we kind of briefly discussed what those barriers may be, because I've been in situations where situationships, we're gonna call it that, to where I felt like, dang, like why don't you want to grow with me? Based off of what I was getting back from them, it sounded like, oh, why don't you want to grow with me? And we can grow together and figure this out together. Like, come on, let's just hurry up and do this as in a relationship, and let's grow together, versus you going off on your own and taking your own time and your own space to grow by yourself. It's almost like it feel like you leaving me out of the equation when it's supposed to be us. What's your take on that perception barrier when it comes to voicing, like, okay, like I feel like we going cool right now at what we doing? when the other person wants to either speed up or take off to the next level.
Okay, couple different things. Number one, if the goal is forever, what's the rush?
Mm-hmm.
You know, for us to get to, let's say, everybody wants to be married for 50 years, 50 plus years. Well, to get to 50, you got to get to one.
Right.
You got to pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all those things previously.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the rush in forever if forever is the goal and you want forever with me and we're happy today? Why do we have to go from being happy today to happy 10 years from now, which we got to get through year 1, 2, 3, 4 to get to year 10? But again, everything's going to come back to communication. That the song "How TF" that you sent me just a couple of days ago, it was a line by Black that it was a lot in that song. A whole bunch. So I suggest everybody go check that out. What's Deontay who? Hancock. Hitchcock. Deontay Hitchcock. It's called How TF. How the F, basically. And Black had said, I don't want to, how did he say it? I don't want to hurt you. The gist of it, I don't want to hurt you in the process of me healing. Something to that effect. I don't want to hurt you in the process of me healing or the process of me growing from past relationships. And pardon the loud truck.
Like they don't see me filming up here or whatever.
Right. That was a commercial break for whatever services he provided. But that's the thing. I have to, if I'm not moving, if I, the man, am not moving in the speed in which the female wants me to move, then it requires dialogue. Like, why aren't you moving in my speed? What's holding you up, and what role do I play in the holdup? Does it have anything to do with me? And if it doesn't have anything to do with me, how can we work through this? So it's still always going to boil down to communication. What's his why? As a matter of fact, what's your why? Why are you in a hurry to get to springtime and we're in the midst of winter? We got to get through winter to get to spring. What is your hurry? What's the rush? Do you suspect that you won't be here? Because if you ain't gonna be here for the summer, then why are we in a rush to get to spring? As a matter of fact, we probably need to slow things down to enjoy every single day. So what's the why? What's the why? What's the with them? What's in it for me? What's the benefit of me speeding up? Because I'm comfortable at this pace. As a matter of fact, what are you uncomfortable with? Are you uncomfortable with where we are? Are you uncomfortable with how I treat you? The time we spend? Do you feel value in this? If you feel value in this, then why do we need to speed it up? As a matter of fact, what's going to change?
I think for women and females and girls, and I say this from personal experience, I think it's like I'm torn between what I feel, because I am enjoying my time here and like I'm having a good time. There's nothing technically wrong, but what I was told all my life and what people pour in, especially Black girls, is, oh, when you gonna get a boyfriend, or when you gonna have kids? Like, yeah, I'm 23, chill out. I don't want to have kids right now. I really want to pay my own bills, let alone add to my bills. But it just, you got to be a wife, you got to be a mama, you got to be a this, you got to be a that. So on that biological clock, that I wish that mug would slow down. And I'm really enjoying my time on this hand, but it's like, I need to do this, I'm running out of time. So I feel like we get so caught up in what we think we're supposed to be doing and where we think we're supposed to be at in life, then we start to forget that, wait, I'm actually having fun. I'm other than where me idealizing and romanticizing where I feel like I should be at, that's the only downfall. Me being in La La Land over here instead of enjoying more of reality, and now I'm self-sabotaging in a way because I forgot to have fun and be in the moment, if that makes sense.
It makes absolute sense, and it raises a question to me that neither of us probably can answer at this time, but it's just a question to ponder. Why is that pressure placed on you and not on me by society?
Mm-hmm.
It's the pressure is for you to have children. The pressure is for you to get married, and in their minds, right about now, shortly after now, is when you should be getting married and you should be having children. But who you gonna get? Who you gonna marry? Who you gonna have children with? It's supposed to be somebody from my side, per what they're saying. It's supposed to be somebody from my side of the street. But I'm not pressured to get married, and I'm not pressured to have children. Not like you are. Not like you are. As a matter of fact, we're told to sow our royal oats. When do you sow your royal oats?
I don't know what that means.
Sowing your royal oats means to live your life as an individual. Get out here and find out what life has to offer you. That's not pushed on ladies. I think it ought to be. I think to get out here and find out who you are before you link up with anybody. Who are you?
Yes.
Who are you? Travel this world. Eat the food you want to eat. Be as wild responsibly as you want to be. And find out who you are. They say you can't love somebody until you properly love yourself. So how can you give yourself to somebody you don't know who the hell you are? You don't even know what you're giving away. And in my experience, what happens is women have babies young, women get married young due to this biological and social clock. I get the biological clock to a certain extent. The social clock, I don't get. I really, truly do not get that, but I get it, but I don't get it. So you move forward and submit to the social clock and commit yourself to a relationship, commit yourself to parenting, and then by the time you're 35 years old, something hits you till you come to the realization that this ain't you and it never was you. The person you're with, they don't understand who you are, and they wouldn't understand who you are because you just found out at 35, but you've been married and making babies since 25. You just discovered who you are.
Okay.
Go ahead, you got to say something.
Let's wrap it all together. Okay, the original question. How do you know a year is enough? Let's bring it all into full circle. Okay, how do we know a year is enough? Especially if we're going in the context and the direction in which this conversation then went. We have our female that's on the biological/social clock who already mixing and mingling with people, trying to hurry up and check these things off the list that their grannies and aunties and mamas and them told them we got to get done, but we forgot to figure out who we were. So you got this year, right? And in the mix of this year, you trying to figure out this person and you're trying to figure out yourself. So how you showing up? How you showing up? Are you giving all of you because you really might not even quite know who you are just yet? And at what time and what point in that year are you showing up? Sorry, it's all in my brain. I'm getting excited. Go away. Can't talk to you right now. Yeah. So you got this year, and you ready to jump off on the deep end and commit just to check this off the list, but you forgot to get to know a very important person out the equation, which is you, to even know what you would want and to even know what it is that you're truly, truly looking for, because you are an integral piece of getting what you want. You have to give to get. But if you don't know who you are just yet, to even be able to align yourself to receive what it is that you want, you're gonna fall short every time. But you still rushing to get to forever, as you said, and you missing some key steps and some key pieces. What else did we talk about?
Well, I want when you said that I want to go back to me and you. Me and you coming up, and for those that don't realize it by now, daddy-daughter talks, these are conversations that you and I have now, and we've had these conversations since you were a child, where we have our motto, and one of our mottos is...
You waiting for me to fill in the blank?
Huh?
You waiting for me to fill in the blank?
What?
You waiting for me to fill in the blank to the motto? Because I don't know.
Don't do permanent things. Don't do permanent things
with temporary people.
Right. So you don't do permanent things with temporary people. And also, every guy you give your phone number to is not a potential boyfriend. Every boyfriend is not a potential husband. Every potential husband is not a potential mate. So every person you meet that you like ain't necessarily going to end up being forever. Get to know who that person is. And I've held a few jobs in my life, just a few, but it's almost standard across the board that it takes a minimum of a year to get a solid idea of what the job is. A minimum of a year. Now, are you able to function within that job in 3 months? Yes. 6 months? Yes. 9 months? Yes. A year? Yes. But you can't call yourself an expert in that job prior to a year. A year is the point in which you start to grow. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same thing in a relationship. Because you talk about, you got to get past the representative. You as the female have to be involved, because prior to 3 to 6 months, you weren't involved. The guy may have been involved from day one, but why is he here to start with? Is he here just because he ain't got nothing else to do? Is he here because he's trying to conquer the physical, or does he see more in you? All of those things have to be aligned and defined. Those two clocks got to read the same time and be measuring the same unit of measurement. Talk to the person. Find out what their goals and aspirations are. And as you go through, check. Are we still in line to get to this point? But what they say and what they do have to add up. And don't just be in the game because of a clock. All right, you know, it's just a game for you. And it's dating is too much like the lottery, where it's a scratch off. I won or I didn't win. It just doesn't work that way. You have to be more patient, because the next post that I wanted to put up there is to ask these women that have been in those 4 2-year relationships, 2 or more years, that you didn't think this guy was ready for whatever he was ready for after you broke up with him. Has it happened more than once, that within the next 3 years, that guy showed up married with children? If that guy showed up married with children within the next 3 years, more than once, you probably weren't patient enough. Your clock was running too damn fast, and you may have cheated yourself, or your impatience may have launched into his destiny. Good job. You helped him out, but you're still not taking your time. You're in so much of a hurry to get to forever, and forever is forever. It's not a measurement of time. So that's my take on it.
I think this conversation for me is also interesting because as I am trying to get out there in the dating world and just meet new people, just see where that goes. I don't got no like, I'm not no like, I want you and I'm gonna get you and I'm gonna have you because I don't even know you. I don't even know what I know somewhat of what I want, but I still need time to really truly develop what it is that I want. But in the meantime, it takes time. Learning to enjoy the moment will single-handedly change your experience because like I
That's
can
all you got.
yeah, but I can say
I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow.
right. I'm a romanticist to a default. Like I could just picture my white picket fence already, which I don't even like fences like that. But that's what the atmosphere told me that I need to get. So like I can already picture that. So learning to get out of what everybody told me or what everybody tells me love will be like or relationships will be like, and learning more about myself and learning more of what I want it to be like and what I like, and then also understanding that the point of view that they're telling me from is between them and their significant other. If neither one of them are in my equation, why am I trying to copy and paste what love looks like for them or what timing looks like for them or effort or investment looks like for them?
Yep.
What are my goals? Where am I trying to get to? Who am I trying to get there with? And the same 3 questions for them. And then together, let's figure out what pace we going, what direction we going in, and enjoy the ride while we getting there. Now, if we come to a detour sign, we might need to control, delete, pause, hold on, pump the brakes, and reconvene and ask those 3 questions again over and over again. Because a lot of times, too, I think that we have this starting point. And at the start, if we both got winning mindsets and my earnings would be a relationship and your earnings may be physical, I'm gonna say whatever it is I got to say to get to where I'm trying to go because we are not yet us. We not yet a unit. We not on the same page. We just like, hey, what's up? Hello, like let me talk to you real quick. Let me talk to you right quick. So you have to make it a point to have checkpoints, just like in a video game. When you playing Mario Kart, when you playing Super Mario Brothers, you come to that flag and you halt. You don't just run through all the boards. You have to stop. Sometimes you might lose a life or two, lose some coins. The dang on turtle thing might hit you real hard, and you don't just get back up and be like, well, we said on November the 2nd in 2007, when it's 2021 now, that this is where we going. Are we sure that we didn't change that? That was the rough draft. Ain't nothing permanent yet. Ain't nothing ever gonna be permanent because even if you last forever, you still writing your book, you still writing your story. You might want to reevaluate. You might want to check in and be like, hey, we still going in this direction, or did you want tacos today? Like, you need to ask questions constantly.
Not just that though, but you just asked the question that women will ask, but they need to understand the question that they're asking. You said, are we still going in this direction? Okay, so are we still going in this direction? But the question is that our goal?
Right.
Because we're still going in this direction, but the goal was never ours. The goal was never ours. So yeah, we could be going in that direction, but man, I don't want to do what you want to do, especially not then, because I know myself. I've met women before that, like on the intro, they say, I want to have a child within the next 3 years. You literally are putting the cart before the horse. How you gonna get to that child? Because if that's the case, then you can continue doing what you want to do, and then in 2 years, go to a sperm bank. You can have that child in 3 years, like you plan on it. But you walk into a meeting with a person. This is Y'all first time meeting, and shortly thereafter, and you tell that man, I want to have a baby in 3 years. Are you looking at the pressure you're putting him up under? But at the same time, hell, if his goal is to get something anyway, he know he already in there. All I got to do is provide you with enough like, or tell you, yeah, I want to have a baby too. But are we on the same clock? It's communication. And let me tell you, if everything that you're talking about is enjoyable in the moment, if you never have any disagreements, if you never have any hard truth, any come to Jesus's along the way, you're probably not headed in the right direction. Because honesty is a part of effective communication. So if they ain't told you no straight up come to Jesus honesty where you got to sit back and think about it for a second, you probably ain't headed in the right direction. They just telling you what they want to hear until they get all of what it is they want. And then I could sit here in comfort, and then growth will, anytime you grow, there's going to be some discomfort. Like physically, if I grew 3 inches over the summer, at some point in time, my body's going to ache. If I grew 3, 4, 5 inches over one summer, my body's going to ache. There's going to be discomfort, or I now have 3, 4, 5 more inches of human being on me, and I got to grow into that human being that I've grown into, if you get what I'm saying. So the relationship is going to be the same way. If everything's just smooth and peachy the entire time, now I ain't talking grueling work, but there will be some discomfort in the growth because there'll be some uncomfortable truth that you have to unpackage and deal with. And I think some people run away from the discomfort because it's supposed, people say, I hear people say this all the time. And every time I hear them say this, I try my best to correct them. They say love shouldn't hurt. To hell if it shouldn't. Love should hurt. If anything happened to anybody that I love, it's going to hurt. It shouldn't be this much work. Yes, it should be this much work. It just shouldn't be torturous work. So it's getting on the same boat, the same path, because we're on the same train and it's traveling to the same destination, but we're in different cars. But guess what we can do on a train? You can move from car to car. If we on the same train going in the same direction, because it's just going west, the destination is San Francisco. When this train stops, we both get off at San Francisco. Then I'm okay with that, because we can get off on different cars and walk to the same point in the platform.
Right.
Now, if your destination is, we're on the same train, but your destination is Clarksville, Tennessee, and my destination is San Francisco, then just get off where you get off. Get off where you get off and let that be that. So but all those things go into it. Every girl I meet is not a potential girlfriend. I don't care how much I enjoy her. And every girlfriend is not a potential wife. It's not a potential co-parent. It's just not that way, and I don't look at them as such. I meet somebody, and I'm interested in them enough to exchange information. Via conversation and communication, I'm interested enough in them to hang out with them. Via more conversation and communication interpersonally, I want more. And it's a gradual thing. And if you ever run into that obstacle that you cannot overcome, then you move forward. And sometimes it may be 3, 4, 5 years down the road that you hit an obstacle. But one thing I never do is I've yet to regret one relationship I've ever been in. I've never been married. Been engaged once. Wanted to marry a couple. Wanted to marry 2 in particular. Never made it to that point, but I've never ever regretted any single relationship. I never thought it was a waste of my time because it taught me something. It taught me something about me. It taught me how to fit into a relationship. So whomever this next person is, whether it be somebody that I've dated before or somebody that's brand new, they will get something out of me that nobody else has ever gotten before, unless they got it before. But they would still get a level of me that they never received, so it still would be new. It's like, yo, where'd you come from? Because each situation taught me a tremendous amount about life and relationships, and more so than anything else, it taught me how I fit into that role. So when it comes to the next year, I will have a better idea of where we can go and where we can't go.
I think that's interesting. Because I always had this concept that I wanted to be in one relationship and one relationship only. I wanted just one person.
Fairy tale.
Huh?
That's fairy tale stuff.
I know that. I'm telling you, I'm getting.
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but I'm getting out of the romanticism part of my life to be more closely related to reality. But in the meantime, in between time, that requires me to get out of my head, which is a whole nother ball game that we're working on. Check out the blog, see how I work on that. There's also one on growing pains that he talked about. There's a blog and a matching video, so you should go check it out. It's pretty cool or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, I had this idea that I wanted to be in one relationship. I wanted to marry the guy that was my one and only boyfriend. But with experience, and especially once they got off the planet of my earth, I learned that while dealing with him and because I never was in a relationship with him, but while being in situationships and just all these on again, off again encounters with him, I learned that while that was a fairy tale goal of mine, I wasn't even equipped to one, be his girlfriend, and then to even further than be his wife, because I didn't really know what life looked like with somebody else in my world. I was so used to being on my own, doing my own thing, and not having to think about another person, that by the time we even got to a stage to where like, oh, wait, maybe it is time for me to consider you. Not that I was doing anything that would be deemed inappropriate to even be in the works of a relationship, but I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I feed him twice a day? I was really looking like I got a new puppy. Like, so you pet him a little bit, you throw a bowl of food out there, like, what do you do? And it was because I lacked that experience, especially since we were now physically in two different states. I lacked that experience of even being in somebody else's space. And so once I got in that space, I'm like, okay, you get comfortable first. I just won't breathe until you get comfortable because I don't know what to do. Okay, now I can finally breathe. And for me, instead of enjoying that time with this person who I thought I wanted my forever to be with, I was in here because now I'm nervous. Like, oh God, don't breathe too hard, don't do too much, don't. And then this person who's known me for so long is planning this life around me, but not involving me because I'm physically taking up space, but I'm not there. I'm checked out. I call myself enjoying my time, which don't get me wrong, like I had fun, but I was confused and I didn't know what the heck was going on. So all this time I'm running towards forever. But then when I even start to show up and get there, I'm like, so what do I do now? I wanted this, so I thought. I wanted to be able to say that this was my boyfriend. I wanted to be able to eventually one day get married, start a family, and I got all these plans in my head, but they won't get out of my head. And I can't even vocalize the words because now I'm paralyzed because I'm so used to being an individual. I'm so used to, oh, I got two rooms. Do I want to sleep in this bed or do I want to sleep in that bed? Do I want to sleep horizontal? Do I want to sleep with my head down here or my head up there? I can do what I want to do. But then mixing and mingling with this next person, I'm like, oh God, I got to figure out what you like, what you want to do, where do I fit in? And then I start to get to that get in where you fit in type of personality, and I don't take up my space. That's what I learned about myself once trying to even dive into a relationship. I've learned that in most cases, I don't take up my space. I wait for somebody to invite me in. That ain't gonna fly. That ain't gonna work. And I'm not gonna get where I'm trying to get if I don't, one, learn exactly what it is that I want and learn how to initiate some of those conversations that are difficult. Initiate those checkpoints and those checking in to make sure that we're still on the same page and that we still have the same goals. And when I didn't do that, my goals became his goals. And once I realized that, let me off this card. We are not on the same.
Two different clocks.
Right.
Two different clocks.
And that's when I was like, okay, maybe this romanticized idea of being with one person and it being almost ready-made to just dive into this whole relationship thing is not really ideal, and it's not realistic, because I saved all this time for you. I saved all this space for you, but I forgot to, one, get to know me enough to even know how to express to you what I want. And two, I don't really know what it's like to be in the same space and moving in the same motion with another person. When I, like, even if all were to come back together and me and this person were to rekindle at some point, now that I've had different experiences with other people who have been able to show me a different reflection of myself, show me how I'm showing up, and also teach me things that I don't like and teach me things that I do like, now I'm more readily equipped to potentially be with that person if the universe and the stars were to align, because I know more about myself and how I function with other people. For a while, I knew about me in my space, but that was uncharted territory for me. I had no idea how I function when somebody else is there and there's somebody else to consider. So while we running towards forever, you gotta ask yourself, like, am I even equipped to make this whole forever thing work? Do I have the tools and the resources necessary to make our goal, because we gotta talk about that, work? What do I bring to the table to make sure that our foundation that we about to build on gonna be solid?
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to introduce really quickly, because you're 23, so that means you're a novice at this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything is unknown. So all you got to do is learn. That's all you have to do is learn. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're 23. 20 years from now, she's 43. So at 43, she already had kids. At 43, she's already been married. At 43, she's been divorced for 10 years. At 43, she's been single for 10 years. So she lived that romanticized life that you want. And it fell apart because she was catering to him. She moved at everybody else's pace and not hers. And then she began to find out who she was, and who she is compared to who she was doesn't mesh with this relationship. And he himself has grown too. Maybe he moved too fast, and now Splitsville. So now she has to adjust from being a unit to being an individual. And she relearns how to be an individual, and she has things the way she wants them. So now at 43, she now finds somebody that she's interested in moving forward with. She's going to go into that with there's a likelihood that she'll go into that relationship or go into that situation pushing her agenda, because I have this clock that I'm working with. And now it's, I've failed at this, so I'm not going to fail at this again. So she then may walk into it with all of her goals and ideologies, not listening to him. So you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes because you're doing the same thing. You're not inclusive of us and we. And what we want is what you want. So it's regardless on if you're 23 or 43, it's almost the same thing. It's just she has to then, to be successful, you have to learn. To be successful, she has to unlearn.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Unlearn what she knows and what she's used to, and then incorporate the new and the fresh into the whole equation, and then success can be found.
I think what's interesting about that though is for both sides, for both men and women. A lot of us feel like we do our best growing by ourselves. And I do think that you have to have some preliminary growth before you go and introduce somebody else into your space and into your life. But I can't take this, what I would consider already made person or already made version of myself, and then introduce it to somebody else and expect the immersion to be clean. Like, we just here with it. There still has to be some growth between us, and there's some things that you as the other person are going to teach me about myself. And if I'm choosing to be in here, I'm gonna have to make adjustments to that version of me that showed up to begin with. Vice versa, you're gonna have to make some adjustments if you're choosing to be here, of that version of you that's showing up. But as the individual, I think that I could take and mold you and take and discard the pieces of you that I don't like. But no, that person got to be willing to make those changes so that you can work together as a unit. But if we both trying to individually grow on our own, on separate sides, when is there room for us to be us, you know? And to kind of circle back the whole conversation as we get to a close, because it's working on forever here with this episode, which I like it, but still. In that year, you got to figure all of this out. And the year go by like this. You showed up as yourself and what you think is like, okay, here, marry me, and I'm ready made. They showed up to themselves, and then somewhere in between, y'all got to figure out how those two versions of yourself work together in a group or in unison, and see how that's gonna work. And in the meantime, in between time, you got to make tweaks to yourself. They got to make tweaks to themselves. And you think that we're supposed to just magically know in 1 year's time? I mean, some people do, but it's not all people.
It's not typical. It's not typical. It really isn't typical. And if you mesh like that within a year's time, then apparently almost immediately you've been reading off two different clocks measuring the same amount of time, the same measurement of time. And that's possible, just not probable. And bless you to those that work out like that. You know, you have those instant click clacks, but it's still gonna take work for that click clack to continue to clack and click. So it is what it is. It just, you know, I don't know nothing. I ain't nobody. But I think we've come to that time in this episode where it's time to bid our dues and say goodbye to all our lovely friends, MIC, KEY, MOUSE. So with that being said, daddy, daughter, out.
Oh, y'all gonna see my toes.
I think we did.
It's okay, I'm gonna cut it
out. So you want to go ahead and go into the other one?
Yeah, but let me stop the recording.
How long was that one?